So obviously, fire department is our training since I get it off there.
Yeah, we probably
Good evening. It's now 7 o'clock. We are going to get started with the regular session of the council meeting. Gabriella, good evening. Can we have a roll call, please? Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Up next, we're going to hear the invocation by Annie Gindra. So if everybody could please stand and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Russ Brown.
Father in heaven, we're grateful that we're able to be here tonight to be able to support our community in Sahannet Valley. We ask that you please bless those who are participating in tonight's council, that they'll feel thy love and thy spirit, and that they'll have a feeling of encouragement into action and doing what's right for our community. We thank you for all that thou hast blessed this community with, and ask us to please help us to know how to move forward in all that we do. We're grateful to be for all that we have, and we say these things in thy son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Up next, City Attorney closed session report.
Mayor, we had two items in closed session this evening. The first was a brief by the City Attorney for the Council on one item of anticipated litigation. There was no reportable action on that item. And the second item was a conference with your labor negotiator, the City Manager, with regard to Services Employees International Union and Heavy Mid-Managers Association. Although the direction was given to the City Manager, there was no reportable action other than that. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, item 5, proclamation proclaiming May 21st to 27, 2018, National Public Works Week 2018. Chris, do I have something that I'm going to present you, or?
But of course.
Okay. I don't know where it's at, so that's why. Okay. So we don't have that, but maybe you want to talk and then we can.
Wow. Okay.
Sure. Good evening, Council, residents of the city. So, Chris Jensen, Public Works Director. I have been blessed with 19 years in the Public Works Department and have had an opportunity to grow with the over 75 employees that we have. While I don't have the proclamation in front of me, yes, I believe our week is the 17th through the
21st to the 27th.
21st to the 27th. I apologize. So we have, yes. I appreciate, even though we aren't here reading the proclamation, Council, that you are recognizing that as a week for Public Works. We have the opportunity every day, and we succeed every day in serving not only the residents of Hemet, but also in supporting our city departments. I have the men and women who are out there putting asphalt down when it's 110 outside, and who are up at midnight when it's 45 and raining and are clearing storm drains of all the fun stuff that can run down the street. We have a very dedicated, very committed group of people that I couldn't be prouder of, and they continue to amaze me with the amount of work that they get done every day. So while we are celebrating Public Works Week, we will also be trying to take advantage of some other ways that we can celebrate what they do all year long. Lots of times they're in the background. And if you happen to see somebody out in an orange shirt or in a big truck or with a blue shirt on, don't be afraid to say hi or thanks or offer a glass of water as the weather starts to change around here. So great people, happy to serve the community, and we appreciate the week being dedicated to Public Works. So
thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Up next, the consent calendar, normally routine in nature, and passed by one motion. Are there any items from the public that need to be pulled? Any from staff? Any from the council? Seeing none. All right, is there a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second. All right, please vote. All right, that passes unanimous. Up next, communications from the public. Anyone who wishes to address the council regarding items not on the agenda may do so at this time. As a courtesy, please complete a request to speak form at the city clerk's desk. Submit it prior to the council meeting. Are there anybody that wish to speak?
Yes, first speaker is Catherine Barnes, followed by Elizabeth Escalante.
Good evening.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Catherine Barnes, and I would like to share with you that on January 2nd, 2018, I lost a dear friend named Giovanni Marino at the intersection of Devonshire Avenue and Warren Road in Hemet. He was hit by another vehicle in a head-on collision while driving his car. I'm saddened to report, and I'm sure you are aware, that his was not the only life taken as a result of a fatal accident. At this singular intersection, there were at least 5 other fatalities in just the last 6 years. December 3rd, 2012, July 27th, 2012, April 3rd, 2017, September 28th, 2017, and January 2nd, 2018. I have circulated a petition in the city of Hemet that has been signed by many of your constituents that are equally concerned. We ask that a complete traffic study be done at the intersection of Devonshire Avenue and Warren Road, and that based on results, immediate action to be taken to mitigate the continued risk posed to motorists and pedestrians. We would love to see an all-way traffic signal with streetlights and crosswalks at that intersection. We believe this will not only improve the protection for motorists, it will consider the needs and safety for pedestrians accessing the intersection. While I myself am not a constituent of the city of Hemet, everyone on the petition is. I do this because I care not only for the safety for myself, however, for the safety of others. Because one life lost is too many. I implore you to act now. Help me turn Giovanni's death into something meaningful that may save other people's lives. I ask that City Council direct the City Manager to agendize a formal discussion at the next meeting and to request a traffic study at the intersection of Devonshire Avenue and Warren Road until the next City Council meeting. I have copies of the letter that I've given to the clerk that I wrote to the Traffic Commissioner on April 9th, and I also have the copies of the petitions for you to have. Remember, you guys have the power to make a difference. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I would like to point out that every loss of life is tragic, especially in a traffic collision. I do want to point out, though, I believe you're referring to a collision that didn't actually occur at the intersection. It occurred 1,300 feet north, which is almost a quarter mile north of that intersection. But I would like to direct you to our police chief in the back, and he can give you more details about that collision. And again, I sympathize with you for your loss. But thank you. Up next.
Elizabeth Escalante.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Escalante, and I'm also here in support of Catherine's petition to install a traffic light in the very dangerous intersection of Warren and Devonshire Road. On January 2nd, 2 little girls, ages 8 and 1, lost their only parent, their daddy, Giovanni Moreno, a hard-working single father that never made it home from work to put his daughters to bed because he was in an accident that could have been prevented in a traffic light that wasn't there. According to the Federal Highway Administration, 1/3 of intersection crashes in the United States and more than 40% of fatal crashes occur at stop sign controlled intersections. Based on community feedback on social media platforms, I was in disbelief by the sheer number of comments of many residents who witness on a daily basis people blowing through those stop signs. In combination, the lack of lighting makes this intersection a dangerous one many motorists will avoid at all costs. I understand I'm just one person who may be naive and not understand what it takes to accomplish this task, but this is why I'm here. I need your help as my elected officials to use your power to help make this happen for the safety of your residents. We need to stop the madness before your own son, daughter, or spouse is killed in a preventable traffic accident. I can't help but worry about my own husband who has to drive this road every day to work, wondering if he'll make it home to our own 2 little ones. Too many lives have been lost, and it's time for action. Please hear my voice and take the steps to add this plan of action to a future agenda. Let's do this for Soraya and Aaliyah and all the other family members who have lost their loved ones. I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stu Savage, followed by Pat Savage.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and distinguished members of the City Council. In her reports to Hemet City Council, City Treasurer Judith Oltman states her activities conform with the investment policy of the City of Hemet. But do they? Section 5 of the investment policy states the Treasurer shall submit a monthly investment report to Hemet City Council. For 2017, no financial report for June or August is included in the City Council meeting minutes. This is one of the many demonstrations of contempt for the citizens of Hemet and the City Council on the part of Judith Oltman, City Treasurer. Her actions indicate she is solely in charge of Hemet's approximately $60 million. Yes, $60 million plus of taxpayers' money. Judith Oltman demonstrates she does not have to account for anybody not citizens who provide their hard-earned tax dollars and not Hemet City Council. Nor does City Council ever ask, where is the required monthly investment report? It appears no one is concerned about the $60 million plus of Hemet citizens' money. Who knows what happened to the $60 million during those months of no reports? No wonder Hemet continues to be audited by the state of California. The investment policy of Hemet requires safety in all of its investments. Yet Judith Oltman put nearly a $500,000 CD into the Bank of Hemet to show goodwill toward the Bank of Hemet. This CD greatly exceeds the maximum $250,000 FDIC for safety. Again, contempt for the citizens of Hemet as she puts their hard-earned tax dollars at risk. Again, contempt for the investment policy of Hemet, which demands safety as the first parameter. Again, there is neither concern nor questioning by this City Council. As you know, the CD conversation has been ongoing for months. Each day the CD is in the Bank of Hemet, it costs the taxpayers money. In fact, $15,000 in annual interest could be earned at 3% like the interest on Hemet's newest CD. It appears Ms. Oltman can take care of her friends at Bank of Hemet by depositing nearly the $500,000 in their bank, as she wrote in her email, but cannot take care of the citizens of Hemet. We asked this City Council and Judith Oltman to remove the CD from Bank of Hemet and invest it in 3.1% interest CD as she just did last month. Action on the part of Hemet citizens may be necessary if Hemet City Council and Judith Oltman cannot remove the CD from Bank of Hemet. We asked to meet with City Council and Judy Oltman to resolve this issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Is there a time that we can arrange a meeting or no?
We are working on that. So there will be something forthcoming.
Will we be included or no?
We will try to get as many people there as we can.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll do a special meeting, I don't know.
Good evening, City Council, citizens of Hemet.
Good evening.
My name is Pat Savage. In reviewing my wife's summary that she just gave you a few minutes ago, I came across a specific account while I was reading the investment portfolio summary. This is what is known in the summary as Citibank 3 or Money Market 3. its balance at the end of March was nearly $16 million. It is a checking account, passbook account, and it does have a lot of activity, but does maintain a fairly stable balance between $15 and $16 million. The anomaly I noticed was that the stated interest on this amount is supposed to be 0.45 of 1% interest per year. When I investigated, this amount should be, if it were 0.45, about $5,974 per month in interest income to the city of Hemet. What the report also states, however, is that the actual interest paid by Citibank on this was $1,910. This interest works out to an approximate interest rate per year of 0.15%. Now, the stated interest is 3 times the amount that is actually being given, and yet that 0.45% is used as the calculation for the average rate of return for these monies. My question is, who is correct and what is right? Is it 0.45% as stated in the report that we're not getting? Or is it a 0.15% that Citibank, even in their own bank statement at the bottom, says anything over $500,000 shall be paid at a rate of 0.15, which is in fact what they're paying. However, the investment summary again says 0.45. The question remains, who is correct in regards to the money earned on this nearly $16 million? Why isn't Hemet earning a higher rate? We expect an answer from both Judith Oltmann and a feedback from the Investment Policy Ad Hoc Committee established in July of last year, of which Council members Krupa and Meyer are presiding. Thank you.
Thank you.
James McCann, followed by Bob Chad.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the members of the Hemet City Council. My name is Jim McCann, and my wife and I recently moved into Hemet this past December from Temecula. We currently reside in the 55 and older community of Del Webb off of Mustang Road. Tonight I wish to address this council with a problem that it may or may not be aware of. This situation requires immediate action, as it could possibly take the life of a pedestrian, homeowner, or a driver of a vehicle. The location of this disturbance is on the roads of Thornton and Fisher to Mustang Boulevard. You see, these two streets have become Drag Street Alley. It doesn't matter what time of day it is, cars are exceeding speeds of 100 miles an hour up and down these roads. In the middle of the night, cars are out there doing 360s, holding their foot on the brake and their foot on the gas pedal and spinning around in circles. It doesn't matter what time of night it is. This intersection on the streets of Thornton and Fisher, as well as Fisher itself, being extra wide, enables those cars to do those donuts, leaving tire markings and smoke from burnt tires. And you can go out to Fisher and just look on the ground and see the evidence that's there. In talking with my neighbors, they've advised me that the police want us to get pictures of these vehicles to bring to them. Unfortunately, we're 55 and older, and we should not have to jeopardize our lives in the middle of the night to get something corrected, which is why I bring this information before you, the City Council, for action. It's only a matter of time before one of these cars loses control and goes through the brake sound barrier walls that protect our backyards and or go through the intersection of Fisher and Mustang and take the life of an innocent person. Action needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. So here's my recommendation for if somebody brings you a problem, they should at least try to give you a fix. So it's a temporary fix, and I'm proposing that you put speed bumps along Fisher Avenue, multiple strategically placed. Temecula uses this type of speed bump in its industrial areas where they have extra wide areas back behind Best Buy and stuff like that to keep the speeders down from doing that. It seems to work rather well. And I know that Fisher is a road that gives access into residential communities, and it's like a drive-through from Charleston over to Mustang. But we have to do something to try to deter the speeds. It's only a matter of time before something happens. Okay? This may deter these racers to go to different places. Either way, it's going to save a life. Let's do what we can and prevent any tragic death from happening, since we know a problem exists. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Evening, sir.
Good evening to my good friends for the time being, anyhow. I put on the slip, who do I represent? I represent the homeless people out there. I don't represent any political party. I don't represent any political group, any neighborhood, anything. I represent those people. And how can I do that? I spent a period of my life for 2.5 years as a homeless person. So I think I'm qualified to represent them. A year and a half ago, approximately, I went to the Homeless Task Force meeting. Been going to them ever since. Mr. Percival talked about dog and pony shows. Homeless Task Force is a dog and pony show. You people have $20,000 you've invested in it. I called yesterday and asked for a report. I have to file a Freedom of Information Act to get it. We paid $20,000 for it. Where is it at? I went to you way back and asked you to take a look at that and try and save that money. I look on social media, I see the good people, Project Hope, and the gatekeepers, begging when it's cold out. We need to get a room for these people. Yet we spend $20,000 on a report that we don't have. I go to you people, we don't have the money. Well, the lady here just brought up where you probably got a whole bunch of money if you just looked for it. These aren't my facts. Every homeless person on that street, according to HUD, is costing this government $40,000. Not my made-up figures. Everyone you see tonight is costing the people in this room $40,000. Well, you might not have the money, but what happens if you don't find the money? Santa Cruz right now, in today's paper, on the verge of bankruptcy. $17 million they spent on homelessness. They got no money. You're going to get a judge in here, and he's going to put demands on you, and then we're going to, what, raise the sales tax? The time is now. You can't keep being reactive to the homeless problem. When are we going to be proactive?
Thank you.
No, I'm not done.
Well, your time has expired, sir,
Well,
out of respect to everybody.
No, don't do that, please.
Mr. Chad, thank you for your comments. We appreciate them, but your time has expired, and out of respect to everybody else's
I'll be
time.
back.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. According to some of the other council, that study is not due until next month.
What?
It's not due until next month.
May 1st. May 1st, according to the agreement.
Okay. All right, well, we'll look into that. Thank you, sir.
Is there an addendum?
We'll check into it.
We'll check into it. I heard there about 2 months ago, I think.
Nancy Sullivan, followed by Mary Ann Geraldine.
I apologize for you not being able to read my name right. I must have been in my doctor mode or something. Honorable council members, Mr. Mayor, members of the audience, my name is Nancy Layton, and I'm happy to say that my husband, Rick Foster, and I have recently moved to Hemet from the lovely town of Idlewild. Yes, where I served as a fire commissioner up there, and I was very happy to take that target off my back. Thank you very much. I'm here for one reason tonight, to listen and learn, and to thank a couple people in the room, specifically the police chief and the fire chief. Fire and EMS do a fantastic, unbelievable job in this town. They run more medical calls than just about anybody else, pretty much anywhere per capita. And they do it with professionalism and care for the patient and concern for the members of the family. I know because a few months ago, that was us, a 911 call on a Saturday morning. Fortunately, it wasn't as serious as we feared it was, but they took it seriously. As for police, living in Sierra Dawn, we are seeing more and more of the people who I believe want to be homeless or want to be seen as homeless encroaching on our private property, and it's getting a little bit scary because we have a lot of senior women who live alone in Sierra Dawn. This is true of all 55 plus communities. The police are taking it seriously. Hemet Gatekeepers does our security checks for our 4 clubhouses and the associated land, but they are not authorized by our HOA to do anything specific in terms of our promenade sidewalks and so on. They do drive-throughs in the neighborhoods, and that's wonderful. We appreciate the services that are coming to us from Hemet's Gatekeepers and very much appreciate the follow-up calls that the police make and take it seriously. They're arresting people who are trespassing on our HOA properties now, and I'm happy to say that's deterring some of what could be happening that could be harmful to our people. I'm anxious to see where Hemet's going with some of these issues. We can't make it to every council meeting. I'm glad to see you're talking about doing a broadcast, an online broadcast. Obviously, that's the wave of the future. And it allows those of us who can't necessarily get here on a regular basis to still observe and see what's going on. And thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Hi. Thanks for being here today. Last week I had an accident. A guy drove through on Oakland and Lyons, and he ran the stop sign, which is normal because I live right on the corner, so I see it all the time. High anxiety for me. And however, he decided to, he missed the turn and took out the fire hydrant and then hit the fence, missed the bench, and still managed to land on the curb and thought that all he needed to do was change his flat tire and he could drive away. So when the EMTs got there, they were super nice to him, explained to him there was more than a little bit of a problem. And so anyway, I would like to thank Jeff from the water company because he was within 30 minutes out there, shut the water off. I told him I wasn't going to pay for that water. He told me that that was okay, that there's a budget for that, so I wasn't responsible. And also, important to me. And also, so I wanted to thank the water department for that. They did a fantastic job. We are still missing the fire hydrant, so the water that is trickling out can be a problem because the kids see that as like a speed through and, you know, spin their tires, so there might be another accident there. And I would also like to thank the mayor, Mr. Percival, for showing up at Mike's Donuts and taking, I don't know how long you were there, 10 minutes out of your time. That man was over the moon that you took the time to shake his hand and listen to what he had to say. And he could not say enough about it. And thank you very much for listening and taking the time to go there. if you could do that when you're driving by any other businesses, take a couple minutes, that would be great too. He thought that would be a good idea. But thank you very much for listening. And again, thank you for the water department for doing your job. Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there a Dolores Sullivan?
There certainly is. This is the real Sullivan here. I'm Dolores Sullivan, and Irish Sullivan to the core. I am a Hemet resident. I've been here for 12 years, and in those years I've seen a lot of changes, most of them presenting us a lot of opportunities to try to be effective with rather than just sweep under the carpet. I've also worked in the homeless arena for 37 years, and I've seen the population expand here in Hemet, expand all across the United States. I have just briefly a couple of solutions I'd like you to consider. One, to start with, is Father Greg Boyle. Most of you may have heard of Homeboy Industries, which is the #1 gang prevention program in the United States. Father Greg has a lot going for him in East LA. I've spoken with him. He understands the problems here in Hemet, as I could briefly expand on, and is willing to come here and speak. And I'd really like to set a date within the next month, because I don't want to wear out that welcome with him. He'll be here anytime during the week, would speak to anybody who wants to hear him. It's just a matter of coordinating dates. Okay, that's my first one. I brought a little flyer, excuse me, and I'll give it to you. It has my name and phone number on it also, so that you can follow up after you decided that this might be a good idea, and I see some nodding here. I know that most of our council is personally involved in the problems here, and that makes me feel much safer in my residence. I too am a person who likes to be involved, obviously, or I'd retire sometime, not in the near future. The second proposal I have is a little more extensive. I've also brought a flyer for that. I am a consultant for WordNet Productions, which is a worldwide TV studio. They're based in San Bernardino and are my personal friends, and work with me to bring further information to the whole world, to the armed forces, and to streaming avenues. I would like to be able to present options for the city of Hemet to be filmed. I've already spoken with the lieutenant from Salvation Army here. He's agreeable. Paul, your consultant for the Homeless Solutions, is also agreeable towards filming and showing what they're doing for the population, for the homelessness that is rapidly expanding, and we all know that. The time frame would be sometime in the last 2 weeks of June, if it's feasible, because both of those organizations
Ma'am,
are...
thank you. Your time has expired. If you could leave your flyer with the clerk, and then she'll get it to all of us.
I'd be more than happy to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
We'll try and get Father Boyle at the next scheduled football task force meeting.
I'm sorry, what?
You know, I'll contact you.
Great.
Just leave it with the clerk. Thank you. Any other speakers? All right. Seeing none, we will move on. Up next, item 11, quarterly budget update as of March 30th, 2018. Lorena, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and
Council. I'm here tonight to present the third quarter financial update for activity through March 31st of 2018. The quarterly budget activity reports reflect unaudited revenue and expenditure activity through March 31st, 2018 for all funds. The adjusted budget amounts listed include any council-approved adjustments through the third quarter of the fiscal year. So for the general fund as a whole, our non-Measure U revenues are on track for this time of year at just under 59%. And if you recall from the last time I was up here, a lot of our revenues come in delayed. Property taxes come in delayed, sales taxes come in delayed, mainly because it takes time for the state or the county to collect those revenues and then forward them on to us. So property tax collections are at 54%, with the second large payment for the year still due in late May. That's the payment for all the property taxes that were paid or due April 10th. Sales tax collections are at about 57%, and while that seems low for the third quarter, it actually is very in line. We get delayed payments for those as well. We collect payments through the end of August, and we really don't receive our true-up payment until September for year-end. TOT tax collections are at 60%, and I know I mentioned last time that I was up here that we were trending, we were at $500,000 for last quarter. This quarter we're a little over that, but looking at the numbers today, what we've collected after March 31st, after the quarter ended, we're at $700,000, where our budget is $850,000. So looks like our hotels are filling up, or at least they're being used more, and that's reflecting in our TOT tax. Again, important to remember, a lot of our tax revenues are delayed because of payment and reporting schedules. Our non-Measure U expenditures are on track for the year. They're at 73%, a little under. Usually that has to do with vacancies. One of the changes that I did make for this report, because it caused a lot of confusion last quarter, was I separated Measure U from the rest of the general fund. Even though Measure U is a general fund tax, by resolution we are required to track it separate, keep the fund separate, or keep the fund balance separate. But for accounting rules and regulations, I can't truly separate it on the books. So last quarter I had it all under the same presentation. This quarter I'm separating it just for illustrative purposes. It's all general fund, but separate for our tracking purposes. So Measure U revenues are also on track. They're just under 68%. They're actually a little higher than we expect. If you compare to the sales tax for the general fund, that was at 58%. It is a little bit higher. And Measure U expenditures are at 41%, mainly due to vacancies as they continue to hire public safety officers, police and fire. For the non-general fund departments, the revenues continue to outpace expenditures in most of the funds. The water fund has spent about 42% of the budget. Most of this is due to the fact that we have a lot of projects, a lot of infrastructure projects that need to be done in water. Many of them are still in their planning stages. It does take a long time to get them ready to start. We have some projects that have started. A lot of them are still sitting at idle waiting to get started. Revenues are at just over 53%. Again, revenues for water, because we bill in arrears, are collected a little bit delayed. So at year end is when we catch up, we accrue everything back, and we account for everything that is billable through June 30th at year end. So that's all I have today. Not a lot of changes, just an update. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Go ahead.
I want to say I appreciate you breaking out the Measure U because I agree that it does continue to cause some confusion.
It does.
That's one of the questions that I get asked by constituents on occasion. There's still the misunderstanding. They're saying, well, Measure U is going into the general fund, and they're not understanding that distinction. So I think breaking it out separately for your quarterly report is going to be beneficial in helping make that distinction. So thanks for doing that.
And just so you know, if I would have had it my way when Measure U first started, I would have created a completely separate fund and tracked it separately. But for accounting purposes, that's not legal. We can't do that because at the end of the day, it really still is a measure or a general fund revenue. We track it separate. We make sure that we follow the resolution that was approved by council and that we keep the balances separate. Even though they look like they're in the same fund, we do track them separate. And we do maintain an ongoing spreadsheet of how much has been spent, how much has been collected, and at year end, any balances that are left over are being carried forward and reserved only for Measure U purposes.
Thank you.
Well, and we tried to make it a separate fund.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. That was the first go around.
Any other questions, comments?
You know how we always...
Your microphone.
You know, we've always angst about internal services. So when the budget comes out this next few months, we hope that you've heard our plea as to having it very apparent how that's calculated and so it's fully understood by all the council.
Absolutely.
It's always been an issue.
Yes.
So I personally would greatly appreciate if that was done.
And that is something that I've been working on. We're just about ready to put the budget document together to present to you. I think our city manager will be talking to you about that tonight, but that is one of the big changes that you will see.
Thank you so much.
And we'll talk about each one and why they are where they are.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you. Up next, item 12, fiscal year 2018-19 recommended annual budget. Mr. City Manager.
We need to set a date. Lorena and I can be ready on short notice. We pretty much got the budget put together. I figure we need about 3 hours for the first session, and I would prefer that we do it on a separate day, not on the same day as a council, and preferably on a Friday or Saturday. So pick a date, and we'll be there. I'm sorry? I'm sorry.
Let's pick it tonight. Yeah.
Please.
Put this on my notes. I'm wide open on the 25th or the...
I'm open on the 25th.
No, I take that back. I'm not open on the 25th.
Aren't you?
I'm going to be out of town.
Looks like 25th is okay for me.
Or the 18th.
What about the 26th?
I'll be out of town that whole weekend. That's Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, that's true.
June 1st?
No. That's too late. Okay. So, how about the first?
June 1st? Is that too far out for you, June 1st?
We'll just go faster.
We should have been doing this 2 months ago. Okay.
No.
Let me know where we are. All right.
25th is out, right?
Hey, there's somebody that works here.
I can do the 17th in the afternoon.
5 to 8
On the 17th?
on the 17th.
I'll be,
I can do either one. I can do either the 17th.
I can do the 24th.
Something's hitting me. I said about the 17th. I can be back in time at 4 o'clock.
5 o'clock on the
I can do
24th.
it at 5. Same thing. I think. 24th is probably better.
Russ?
17th, 24th, both are okay.
24th at 5 o'clock? Carly?
5 to 8.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you want it here? Do it here.
Now we can do it. Let's do it here.
You can do it here. What time does it make?
Either one.
24th at 5?
24th at 5. All right. May 24th, 5 o'clock for the budget. Okay. You have somebody that wants to speak on the budget? Okay. Go ahead.
Matt Gregory?
Good evening, council, citizens. After listening to this recent financial report, I think respectfully, and I'm going to point my finger at every single council member and city manager, you all need a reality check. The information that we provide, that was just provided, is way different than the numbers that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the original budget. Revenues were scheduled to be 49 million. Now they're 40 million. How is that on track? Expenses were supposed to be 48, and now they're 43. Well, that's good. The problem is that the numbers that are being presented, I don't believe are accurate, and I am concerned. Since 2013, the assets of the city of Hemet have decreased almost 20%, from 384 million to 316 million. And why? 2014, 3.1 million decrease in revenues. And I'm talking about the general fund. 2015, minus 1.9. 2016, minus 1.7. 2017, minus 2.3. And now, according to the most recent numbers, 2018, minus 2.7. If you don't understand, working on a negative is not a good thing. And the city of Hemet, on your watch, has gone down financially. And lately, I'm not the only one sitting here trying to get your attention. We've had new people come in here and explain about the investment policy. Last week, there's someone. Things are not right. The numbers are not what were just presented on the board. The city of Hemet loses money every single year and has since at least 2013. What will it take for you all to balance a budget? You've raised our taxes, you've raised our water rates, and yet we're 2.7 million in the negative, which overall compared to the budget is a difference of over 4 million because you budgeted a 1.8 positive. What's going on? This is Hemet, and you're losing money every year. You are endangering our city. Yet, every month or every time we're here, amend this, amend that, increase that contract. You can't keep spending. I don't know what it is about politicians, but you just can't keep spending and taxing. You got to tighten your belts. Tighten your belts. Balance the budget. That's all I'm asking. I see the red. Thank you.
Just for the record, you have mentioned that the council had raised the taxes. The people of Hemet voted for Measure U, and the people of Hemet are the ones that raised the taxes, not the council.
I'm sorry that I know there can't be a discourse, but it's not fair to you make a comment without an ability to retort. So,
Ma'am, you just made a comment that the council is the one that raised taxes. The council didn't raise taxes, the people raised taxes.
okay, we can get into the whole Measure U problem, but we can't at a council meeting. So I would appreciate if I can't go back and forth to you, then you shouldn't be able to comment on me
Well,
without
this is an agendized item that we can talk about.
So I can talk back to you?
Go ahead.
Can I didn't know that I could. But what I'm saying is that everyone...
But I understand that I'm giving you an opportunity to be truthful, because you just accused the council of raising taxes. That is not true.
Okay. Did all of you vote for Measure U? Can I say that? Can I ask that?
We don't have to answer that.
Okay. And if the whole measure, I mean, we are not going to debate how Measure U is passed with some false information as to what's going to happen. I mean, can we debate that?
Well, here's
Is
the
that
thing,
what you want to do?
is that you're telling us to not spend money. But if we don't spend money, then the city will cease to run. And we still have an obligation to provide public safety and provide for basic services to the city. That requires the city council to approve a budget that has to spend money. Over time, the budget has to be adjusted over time. That happens in any budget. In private corporations, they adjust their budget mid-year. That's what the council did, based on the revenues that come in.
Every year since 2013, there's been a negative general fund balance. I mean...
And I won't disagree with that,
okay,
however...
Can I speak now? What I'm saying from a purely financial analysis point of view, you cannot spend more than you take in for 10 years in a row and then expect not to have problems at the end. I'm wondering if you all realize how much damage you're doing by not balancing a budget. It's not popular to cut back on some services.
And I understand that, but understand that we haven't passed the budget for this next fiscal year. We set a date to go over the budget that we are still going to talk about.
I'm not talking about next year. I'm talking about right now. You're going to lose $2.7 million. Why can't you tighten your belts? I mean, all of us here live on a budget.
But understand we did that by design because we drew down the reserves.
And you're drawing down them every year.
I know, we did that on purpose.
And you're budgeted. I mean, you're being audited by the state. Has an answer been given to the state, by the way? Aren't they due an answer?
They're due an answer.
Okay, but it hasn't been given yet. Isn't the answer overdue?
But we're still going to be, we're talking about the upcoming budget, and I understand you're concerned about these numbers, and we are looking at the budget moving forward to make sure that we come in with a balanced budget.
Okay, but what about the spending? What are you doing to curb the spending? You can't keep raising,
That's what we're going to go.
You can't, taxes are going up, you did raise the water budget.
And that's why we're going to be setting this budget workshop to go over the budget so that we can make sure that we don't overspend.
That's what you did last year, and it's not coming to fruition. Last year, you were supposed to end up in the positive, and you're not.
All right, thank you. So we have a date for a budget workshop, May 24th at 5 o'clock. Okay. Now we can move on. Item 13, Mr. City Manager, SB 54.
I believe the council needs to set a date to discuss this in a workshop format.
In the evening?
What is it, 8 o'clock, 17th, or no?
What time do you guys want to? 6:30? On the 17th?
6:30, 17th.
Do we have any speakers for this item? 6:30?
Arvid Anderson, followed by Andrew Koyak.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Percival and council members. It's been a month since I came before you and requested that you take up this matter. Eric, have you had a chance to take a look at the draft proposal that was submitted? Have you had a chance to take a look at the draft proposal?
If you'd like me to answer that, Council, I can. I looked at it the evening you gave it to me.
Okay.
So he's looking.
So he's looked at it. Okay. So, I was hoping we'd be a little bit further along the process. Sam Sinto's already taken this matter up and decided on it, and I'm sure this this matter of opting out of SB 54 is a serious consideration that we and a serious discussion that we need to have about what Sacramento's doing and how this actually affects us directly at the local level. Because there are we're worried about finances in the city, and there are financial considerations due to crime and other effects directly related to illegal immigration and sanctuary city policy and sanctuary state policy. This trickles down from Sacramento, and we're at the pointy end of the spear. I think you people understand that, right? On the local level, Sacramento makes decisions, and we always get left holding the bag. And this is another example of. I encourage you to take a look at this. Now, is there any reason why we can't have a decision tonight when we come to a vote?
Because we want to hear from our police chief and our city attorney on the impacts of SB 54 as it relates to the local jurisdiction.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Percival. Appreciate that.
And also it gives an opportunity for the people to get the information directly related to SB 54.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate your consideration for the number of times I've been up here to voice my opinions on this. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Councilman.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for having this on the agenda tonight and moving this forward to a workshop. San Jacinto did approve this, and there is caution in moving forward with a certain direction. We have seen every city that's taken it up in Riverside County move forward with this. That's included Canyon, not Canyon, Lake Elsinore, Wildomar, San Jacinto, Beaumont, and right now Riverside and Corona have it also scheduled. It's coming forward. None of them are doing a workshop, even though I do appreciate you have that scheduled as a workshop. We do recommend that you don't do an opt-out provision. That's how Los Alamitos did get a lawsuit with the ordinance in that position. What we do recommend and ask is that you do an opposition resolution, which of course I'll make sure that you do get and will provide to you, that states to our sheriff and our county and our governor that you do oppose the sanctuary status, and that you also do join the amicus brief, which is a different statement. It's more of a formal statement, just like the resolution, but to support behind the DOJ against the state of California. We also do recommend that you don't approve any city funding for that, and if there is any additional